Welcome, race fans, to NAGP Thursday Night GT1 Racing. I'm Jack Ivy, and I'm along with
Ken Rodriguez. Good evening, all. Welcome to Thursday Night GT1 Racing here at NAGP TV.
Well, Ken, hopefully we get things going a little better than we had last week. It appears we had some technical difficulties with channeling, but fingers crossed. It looks like we're in for a great race. And where are we tonight?
We are in the Guangdong province of China, place where all of our little electronic tickets come from, right? The Zhuhai circuit is quite a challenging circuit. It's a 14-turn circuit. It's got a couple of long straights. This is a high-speed track for these GT1 cars. They're reaching speeds upwards of 160 miles per hour. You've got a couple of long sweeping turns, especially turn number 14 coming onto the front straight, where your drivers tonight are going to be seeking. This is a good overtake spot, as a matter of fact. Get a good run on somebody coming down the straight. So it should make for a very challenging and exciting race tonight, Jack.
Well, I'm looking for some excitement tonight, but mind you, we've had our fill of excitement all season, and in the early going so far, we've got Parsons sitting in P1, Roman in 2, Maris and Sportelli, and funny enough, the last time we raced here, Parsons won with Roman and Sportelli right behind, so they look to pick up where they left off last time they were here.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it at all, Jack. Maybe looking at repeat here. I'm pretty sure that if this weather stays dry, not sure. I know that we saw that the chance of rain is high, but if these guys get a dry track tonight, we're gonna see these guys battling it out up front pretty heavily. Considering the quality time, the early practice times that we witnessed here tonight.
Yeah, and track temps look very good right now. Perfect to get out on those soft, sticky tires and lay some hot ones down.
Absolutely, empty out the gas tank, give it your best sticky setup, and just go balls to the ball.
And you know, these guys are capable of doing that. I wouldn't be surprised if we see maybe a 27 out there.
Very possible. I believe that we saw Eiran Parsons teeter-totter on the edge of getting below the 128 mark. He was at a 128.01. So if he can get another tenth of a second in one of those corners, or even down a straightaway, get some pull off of somebody, I'm pretty sure we may see them touch the 27 mark, high 27s anyway.
Yeah, if he was that close to breaking into the 27s, if anybody can do it, you know he can do it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he is just on fire lately.
And I'm on board right now watching Eiran come around to the start-finish. And guess what? Mr. Parsons sets the new fast lap.
Go. Unbelievable. I'm assuming that has to be a record here at this track, Jack.
It did say a new track record, so I wouldn't be surprised if that is. He sure likes that McLaren F1, that's for sure.
Yeah, he found the time needed to break into the 27s. Good on Eiran.
And in P2, right behind him, just as they finished in the last race they were here, is Rich Roman. On board with Rich Roman coming around to the first sector.
Yeah, Rich Roman also. He's down in the low 28, so if he can get some pull off of somebody, I wouldn't doubt that he can dip into the 27s himself.
Well, about 3/100ths off of Mr. Parsons' pace in the first sector, but we're going to hang in here and watch Mr. Roman finish this lap out.
Sounds good. And while we're on board with Mr. Roman, I will just go over some technical details of the track. Turns 4 and 5, which is probably the most challenging part of the track, has a chicane there. Another opportunity for these drivers to pass their competitors, make up some time there as well. It's probably the slowest part of the track.
Yeah, that's a pretty tight right-hander there on that turn 4.
Yes, it is. Turn 6 and 7. Well, turn 6 is more like a dog leg, and that's just flat out.
I'm on board with Mr. Myers now. I believe he's going around turn number 7. And that turn number 9, that's a real tight left-hander as well.
Yep, and here he is on turn 10, and it's a straight shoot up to turn 11, so it's flat out here. You probably reach 6th gear, and coming into turn 11, that's a 2nd gear turn there. 12 is another dog leg, which puts you down onto the straight, which will eventually throw you into the 13th and 14th turn. Turn 14 being the last sweeper right before the front straight. And this is going to be a good overtaking opportunity right here if you tuck in behind somebody and get a good run on down the front straight.
Yeah, that turn 14 is going to be critical. These guys are going to have to nail that to get a good run on that big straightaway. And as you said, drafting possibilities are going to be great there, and they're going to have to be able to hold that brake zone into turn 1, though.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. If you get a good pull off of somebody in the front slingshot pass, absolutely, you're going to have to adjust that braking zone. Don't think that your car's a supercar. These are supercars, but they do have their limitations as well. These drivers are going to have to be very concentrated and focused on their braking zones coming down that front straightaway, especially after having just gotten drafted.
Still on board with Myers as he goes through. He was just 3/100ths off of first sector time. He's currently sitting in P4. We'll continue around and hang on with Brad.
Sounds good. And Eiran Parsons looks like he slightly improved his time in the 27s there. He was at a 127.888. He dropped that down now to a 798. So good stuff from Eiran.
Boy, oh boy. It's going to take some real slick driving to better that time.
Absolutely, absolutely. We got Rich Roman coming in second. He's right now at a 128.2. Andrew Werner making his way up to third. So Andrew looks like he's got the hang of this track somewhat there, and he's laying down some hot laps.
Yeah, and Andrew's been charging really hard in the last couple of races, so going to be a guy to watch tonight.
Absolutely, Jack.
Just a little shout out there. Just a little shout out there for Brad Maris. He is one of our driving instructors. If you guys need some help, give Brad a PM. He's more than willing to get on board with you, get out on a track, and give you a private lesson, help you get your speeds up.
Yeah, I may just have to take advantage of that myself here.
Well, hopefully in the break this season, they get enough interest. They usually hold a driving school, and it's a lot of fun. They bring out 4 or 5 instructors. We usually end up with 15 or 20 guys out, and they go all the way from the front runners to the back runners are coming out to take part in this driving school, and it's a lot of fun.
Sounds like a lot of fun, Jack. Certainly something that I'd probably be most interested in. Like I said, my early virtual career started developing some really not so good habits, and they're starting to get broken now, and I can use all the help I can get.
Well, we got a few great instructors out there, so Kenny and anybody else, anybody wants some help, throw up a PM and ask for driving school, and we'll definitely get one going in the off season. The other thing I'd like to mention, Ken, is I'd like to, I mentioned it to Al, I'd like to sponsor a race in the off season, and this would be the first time anybody's heard about it. Would like to sponsor a race for non-podium drivers only.
So then I'm invited.
Absolutely.
There you go. There you go. That's good. Kind of tones down the competition level a little bit to some of the, mid backpackers, etc. But definitely sounds like a good idea. I'm all for it, Jack.
Well, I'm over on the main page now. We've got Parsons sitting in P1 with Rome and Werner jumped up to P3. Maris in 4, and Sportelli has dropped down to 5th. Hamilton up in 6th. That's a good run for Christian Hamilton, too. Kevin Savoy in 7th, and Greg Myers in 8th. Now, just a little mention out there. Greg is not the best qualifier. He'd be the first one to tell you that, but boy, oh boy, if he can hang on to a P8, that's a great qualifying position for Myers. Marco Conti, who showed some great speed in the early practice, in 9th. Alex White in 10th, and Chris Moses in 11th.
Speaking of some of the guys down the order, Alex White, I know, is carrying about 44 pounds of some ballast tonight, so it's coming down a bit for him. So I'm looking for him to maybe move up here tonight, Jack.
Well, Alex should be getting used to carrying ballast. He carries ballast just about all year long in both GT1 and GT2, so it shouldn't be a big deal for Alex. But Savoy's got 66 pounds, and David Pohl's got 88 pounds of success ballot as well. So those are your guys carrying weight tonight.
88 pounds, man. It's got to feel like a ton, I tell you.
Well, you saw last Monday's performance, and Alex White had 88 pounds, and that sure didn't look like it was hurting him much.
It sure did. I don't know, man. This guy's got some kind of a secret formula up his sleeve on driving or car setup.
Well, while we got a couple of minutes here, the only penalty incurred last week was happened in the first lap review at turn 18. Andres Prado got into the back of David Canavan, putting Canavan to the back of the field. So Andre is sitting in a no-qual position. But we have watched this Andre Prado start at the back of the pack and work his way up, to like top 5, top 4, top 3 finishes. So even though this is a heck of a mountain, it's not one that he can't climb.
Absolutely, and we've seen him do it gracefully and very professionally on the track. I do not, however, see Andres racing with us tonight, so I'm not sure that he's going to be making this one. But he's not on the server at the moment.
Well, he may be who they were waiting for, and I wouldn't doubt it. He'll have an opportunity to drop in at qualifying too, and that's not going to hurt him because he was going to start at the back anyway.
Absolutely. So we hope that Andres does make it, because he's always a fun driver to watch.
Yes, and they're going to need it. Team championships, Anger Racing, Brad Maris and Andre Prado have got 226 points. Roman and Andre Cole have got 140. Now, I've been told it's mathematically possible to lose this team championship, but boy, oh boy, that's an 86-point lead. Quite the big lead going in over top of H&C Racing. Number 3 is T Broke Dam Bam with 134, and 05 Motorsport with 111, followed by SJRT Columbia, Elite Racing, and Precision Motor Racing. So it is not out of hand, but the team championship, as long as Prado shows up tonight, boy, it looks like they might have it in the bag.
Yeah, I have to agree. Looks like you have some close competition there with your 2nd and 5th teams. So it's gonna be interesting how these last few races go, Jack.
Yeah, and in the Drivers' Championship, Rich Roman and Brad Maris both are tied with 110 points. And as we climb up to the front of the field there, you can see Brad Maris in 4th, Warner in 3rd, and Roman in 2nd. So, boy, oh boy, they are fighting this out for the Drivers' Championship this season.
A lot of good battles going on with the points, Jack. These guys give it their all week after week. They deserve to be up at the top. Unfortunately, there can only be one champion, and we're just going to have to let this play out and see who that is going to be.
You've got that right. There is only one at the top, but Prado is in 3rd, Pohl's in 4th, Parsons in 5th, Monroy, Myers, Canavan, White, and Joliker round out the top 10. So it is a good battle. All familiar names up there. All our resident top-notch drivers out there in the top 10 this season again.
Absolutely. These GT1 drivers, for those of you out there, GT1 being the higher horsepower, more technically advanced vehicles than the GT2, they're capable of reaching a higher top speed, and their torque is outstanding. Took a couple of recon laps earlier today. They weren't very successful, but this is a challenging track, and the layout is really nice. It's conducive to high speeds, a lot of overtaking possibilities, and I'm just looking forward to this race tonight, Jack.
Yeah, even though, you know, we talk about the, you know, our top 10 fastest drivers, the last few races, we have seen just incredible battles going on between, you know, P10 to P20. There are battles all the way through this league, so guys, don't be intimidated. If you want to come out, get hold of one of our guys on the competition committee, send them a PM, and grab your wheel and join us on Monday or Thursday.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And as you stated, Jack, great battles that go on mid-pack all the way to the end. It's all about fun, so we encourage those that haven't had to yet but may have been watching. Come on out and join us. It's a lot of fun, and you make a ton of good new friends and good group of fellas here.
And I just see Sam Rolfe is posted up on the chat board there. Welcome, Sam. But yes, get in and join up in Q2. Grab your wheel and away you go.
Absolutely. I just want to take the time now, Jack, to remind those that if you want to follow along with your favorite drivers at the main website, you can look up at the top on the red banner, GT1 Live Timing. If you click on GT1 Live Timing, you will get near real-time stats of the lap times and the running order of your favorite drivers. If you want to follow along, head over to the website and select GT1 Live Timing at the top on the red banner.
And boy, oh boy, that Mr. Parsons time, I'm over on the main page now, and holy jumping.
Yeah, he's laying down some hot ones. I think he's taking a break right now as we're winding down here in qualifying. We've got about 8 minutes left of qualifying. And I think that Eiran may be feeling that he's pretty safe with his time right now. Not sure if he's holding a hat trick up his sleeve in case somebody comes close or even beats that time. But boy, let me tell you something. It's gonna take one heck of a drive out of any driver to beat that time right now. 127.78. That's incredible.
Yeah, and just taking a look at Rich Roman, Andrew Werner. Roman with a 28.245 and Werner with a 28. There we go. Roman just pulled off a 7.99, a 27.799. Wow. Boy, oh boy, he is nipping at the heels of Eiran Parsons.
Absolutely. He is 15 100ths of a second. There goes Parsons out again. I guess he's just trying to protect his lead there. But we also saw Chris Moses just now jump way up into fourth place with a 128.353. So Chris Moses laying down a fast lap, went into the pits, probably changed some things back out of the track. I think that Moses is going to try and make a run at that pole spot.
Yeah, and Roman's coming back out too, and Werner's back out. So it looks like they are all going to come out for one last Hail Mary. Werner's back in the pits, Roman is out, and Parsons is out. On board with Parsons as he comes up to his first sector time.
Sorry, Jack, I was just trying to adjust my mic volume just a little bit. I see that Sam was letting me know that my mic volume was a little low there, so hopefully this is a little better.
Absolutely. Bang on, spot on. And Parsons.
So Eiran Parsons still out?
Yeah, and coming around to finish up the lap.
Boy, I tell you, he's out there protecting his lead. Rich Roman smelling the tailpipes from Parsons. Werner not so far back, actually less than a half a second behind. Running down the field a little bit further, Chris Moses in fourth. Brad Maris moves up to fifth with a 128.3. David Raleigh is in sixth, and Sportelli gets knocked down a little bit to seventh. Still a very good qualifying job, and Alex White ninth, and Chris Hamilton is rounding up your top 10 right now.
On board with Chris Moses, he's about 4/100ths of a second off, so he might improve a little bit here.
Yeah, he's driving that big Ford GT, and boy, I tell you, he makes that car move. He can haul that car around the track.
Yeah, that car can be a beast on tires.
I liken it to a brick with wheels, huh?
Well, Chris doesn't improve. He stays at P5. Alex White up to P4. And Alex is heading out for one last go as well.
Yeah, Jack, those 127s are, I no doubt that they're very inviting to these drivers to try and challenge a new lap record here at Zhuhai, and I'm sure that everybody wants to wear that crown of setting the hottest lap at this facility.
On board with Roman coming down to the finish. And he is 2/100ths off as well, so he's going to stick at P2. On board with, Werner sort of stuffed it there into that one turn. That's going to cost him some time, and he may have to settle with the time he's got.
Which isn't too bad. Like I said, it's still less than a half a second off of the 127 pace set by Roman.
Not bad at all. I mean, these times are incredible, just absolutely incredibly fast. I mean, you did some laps, Ken, and so did I, and I thought I was burning up the track last night with my 134s, and these guys are just absolutely smoking that time by 7 seconds.
I tell you, sometimes I think that they set these cars to run, that they set these cars up to run on air because they're just flying around this track, and I can't see them doing these times with all that weight. But yet here we got Alex White up P4. He's got some ballast on there, and he's doing fantastic.
Yeah, and he's just starting his hot lap, and I'm on board with Alex right now. And he's got this timed out pretty good. He is just going to get this lap in right under the wire.
Yeah, we're with about 2 minutes left to go in qualifying here. Looks like these guys are going to give it one last go, trying to prove their time. A little bit further in the pack, Chris Hamilton is in 11th right now with 128.5. Kevin Savoy, Juan Monroy, and these times are all provisional, of course.
Well, White is right on pace, and if he keeps this up and can maintain this through the next sectors, he may be able to jump up a spot or so.
That'd be interesting to see, Jack. Absolutely, considering that he is carrying that extra weight.
Well, maybe that big Corvette likes it.
There's no doubt.
Well, he is 0.37 off of the pole time. But he has dropped down to P5, so somebody has taken that P4.
Kevin Savoy jumped up to number 3 with a 128.1.
And White coming to the finish.
And he maintains P6.
Not much of an improvement there. Chris Moses, he's just going to squeeze in one more lap.
Looks like Chris may just get this one in with about 35 seconds left on the clock. He may have an opportunity there, Jack. So further down the pack, I see that there Gup Douglas is with us, John McIntyre and Thomas Schubeck. None of them have put in any qualifying laps. Not sure why they haven't tried to qualify.
Whoa, Moses picks it up to P4. So, very, very interesting. Good last run by Chris Moses.
That is a fantastic time.
Well, there goes your qualification, and that is, yeah, I'm not sure what's up there with Mr. Douglas, McIntyre, and Schubeck. Well, I have no idea why they didn't get a time in there.
It's the challenge of starting from the back of the field there, Jack.
Oh, and that's a challenge all in itself, that's for sure.
It most certainly is. But you know what? These guys in GT1, they've got the experience. We've seen a bunch of excitement throughout the season, so I'm no doubt that this is not going to be any different. I'm looking forward to a really good race as we prepare for our next session here.
Yeah, and we've just rolled over to qualification 2, and we'll be looking. We know Sam Rolfe, who was joined us at the broadcast there, is going to be jumping in on this, and we'll see if we pick up some other drivers. But there's your qualifiers, and there's your order. Parsons in P1, Roman in P2, Savoy in P3, Moses in 4th, Alex White in 5th.
And you got Brad Maris in 6th, Andrew Werner came in 7th, David Raleigh in 8th, Gregory Myers in 9th, and John Sportelli in 10th.
Marco Conti is hanging on to the 11th, just out of the top 10. Christian Hamilton in 12th, Juan Monroy in 13th, David Poole in 14th, and Marty Eiran in 15th.
And starting 16th, we have Andres Cole, Matt Taylor in 17, Ryan Schleif in 18, John Wathen in 19, Mike Greatrix moving up to P20.
And we got Liquid Lou Mascarelli in P21, Sergio Calderon in 22nd, Jacob Carpati in 23rd, Gup Douglas in 24th, and Johnny McIntyre in 25th.
Yep, and then in 26, Thomas Schubeck. And we see that Andres Preto has now jumped on board, so he will be starting, what is that, in 27th, and then Sam Rolfe in 28, and Salem Montgomery Jr. in 29.
Great, so we picked up, I'm glad to see Andre made it in there. I was almost positive that there's no way he's going to let this get away from him. They're just so far up there. He's in for the driver's points. He's only 10 points out of position on there. And Brad and Andre could put the lock on the team championship tonight.
It's very possible, Jack, seeing that Andres did make the race. So we're going to have to keep an eye on him and see if he can actually get up there into the points and help his team out. Unfortunately, he is serving that no-qual penalty, but he's here, and he's here to race.
And if anybody can move his way up to the front of the pack, that guy can. He can drive the wheels off a shopping cart.
I'm telling you, he sure can. So we're going to look for good things from him. Pretty good lineup for tonight. Looking forward to the start of this race, and just to share some thoughts on how this may go. I mean, it's a toss-up, really. We know that Eiran is super fast, and you got Rich Roman. I mean, literally 15 100ths of a second off his pace. So it's going to be a good battle up front. Kevin Savoy starting in 3rd, and he's less than a half a second off that 27 pace. I'm looking for a good start. I'm hoping these guys can keep it clean, and those are my thoughts on the race.
Well, I think we're in good shape for a good, clean start. I mean, these guys have all raced nose to tail for a long time together now. They know better than to get involved in a first turn or a second to schmozzle and knock any one of these guys out. So it would be a heartbreak to see anybody get knocked out. Farther back is always a crapshoot here at NAGP. You never know what's going to happen. But I'm sure hoping, oh, geez, look at that. We've got the warm-up in wet. I'm sure hoping we get some dry conditions. I want to see a good, fast, dry race tonight.
That would be excellent. And wow, look at that. The weather, the temperatures just dropped. 51 degree Fahrenheit on the track. Ambient is 50 degrees, and the conditions are wet, but the forecast is flooded. I don't know, Jack. This is going to be an interesting one. This weather, I don't know.
Well, I know these guys were sure cracker fast in the dry conditions, but the wet and the changeable conditions we get here at NAGP can really throw some of these guys off and sort of catch them unprepared.
And not to mention that this province that we're in China is it is a bit temperamental on weather. Just looking up some history here, typically in 2012, they spent 53% of their time in overcast and or wet conditions.
Ouch.
Yeah, it reminds me of Seattle.
Well, that being said, I look for a guy like Mark O'Connie and David Poole. Both those guys seem to do really, really well in the wet. I'd look for those guys to tiptoe their way up to the front of the pack because they're soft, and Greg Myers as well. They're soft on the wheel. They're easy on their entrance. Those are guys I think could move up in the wet pavement.
No doubt, no doubt. It takes a lot of finesse to drive in the wet. With these cars, they are temperamental, considering that we have absolutely no assistance available on these cars. There's no traction control, there's no braking control, there's no anti-lock brakes. So, it's all about being smooth and having a lot of finesse on the steering wheel, as well as the throttle and braking as well.
Yep, and the smooth drivers are going to make out. And geez, I'm just on Alex White right now. There's another guy. He can just about drive anything in any conditions. So, and Brad Maris. Brad Maris is another one. I mean, there's going to be quite a few guys to watch for if we get these wet conditions. But it sure looks flooded out there right now.
It most certainly does. And yeah, we certainly have a talented pool of drivers. No pun intended with the pool comment as it relates to water. But these guys are very talented, both wet and dry. And I'm going to look for those that are the smoothest to move up. Like you said, just tiptoe their way around some of the typically faster guys, those that carry a lot of finesse in their driving style.
Well, it definitely will be interesting, as it always is on Thursday nights.
Always. And I just jumped on board here with Andres Prado real quick just to see how he's doing now during warm-up. He's got about 2.5 minutes left, and he's looking real good out there.
Boy, oh boy, that sure is wet out there. You see the reflections on the track, you know we're in flooded conditions.
Yeah, I was just thinking that myself, Jack, just cycling through some of the drivers here and looking at the track conditions. It's a warm-up though. Let's see what happens for the actual race. You know that this is GTR2. It's got a temperamental weather engine, and things can change.
Well, I'm just going down on some of the car listings, and it looks like most of our front runners up there are running on the Michelin tires. So it may end up being a Michelin race.
Those Michelin tires are fantastic. They're predictable, I can tell you that.
Well, the only one that I see that isn't is Marco Conti is on Pirellis in the Lambo.
Yeah, he makes it work. Still getting. Yeah, it looks like he's having a little time getting around the track, just adjusting his driving style a little bit. But that goes for anybody in the rain. These conditions can either bring out the best in you, or they show your worst. But nonetheless, it's a challenge for each and every one of these drivers, and we're going to look forward to these guys putting down their best laps, whether wet or dry. It's a crapshoot right now.
Well, the sky does look pretty gray up there, that is for sure.
With about 30 seconds left, coming into the pit lane there, we almost had a collision.
I saw that.
About 20 seconds left.
Yeah, and that is going to be a tricky one in the weather too. Getting in and out of pits and the start is going to be interesting if it stays wet.
It most certainly will. And as we wind down warm up, these guys will start coming into the pits now, and we'll get ready for our next session, which is the actual race.
Well, you know what? I never even looked. How many laps are we doing tonight?
Good question. So based on the times that we're seeing here, I guess depending on the weather, if we have dry conditions, very possible that we can get into the 40s. Wet conditions will definitely bring it down into the high 30s.
Well, we'll have to keep our eye on that. Sorry, I should have picked that up. I didn't on the laps. Well, warm-up is done. We're going to flop over to race, and we're in damp conditions. This is almost worse than wet conditions because what tire?
Absolutely. So these guys now have about a minute and a half to decide what they're going to be starting this race on. Experience has shown that the typical thinking is to reach for those inters in damp, but looking at that temperature, it's kind of up there. It's close to, it's 85 degrees and it's climbing. It just jumped to 80, just jumped from 84 to 85. Those track temperatures will heat up those inters real quick. So we'll have to see what these guys are going to be doing.
The skies are still gray. There's Parsons, jumped out on the track and jumped back in. Thought he better get his crew to make a change of some sort.
Yeah, and we just saw the same from Chris Moses. He jumped out and jumped back in, so I guess he's going to be looking to make a change himself. We're down to about a minute before race start, before the green flag drops. Just waiting for everybody else to get out on the track right now.
And Moses back in to the pits. So a little indecision going on here.
I'm just glad I'm not racing tonight.
Well, they are all jumping in and out.
Yeah, just saw Eiran Parsons with less than 15 seconds, and he's back out on the
He's
track.
back out again. Made a last-minute change there.
Boy, oh boy, here we go. 5 seconds to green.
And they're off. Thursday night GT1 racing. Eiran Parsons has dropped into second place. Rich Roman is taking the lead. Down into the first corner. They are 3 wide. This is, whoa, can they hold on to this?
Chris Moses jumps up to a quick second position right away, overtaking Parsons. I wonder what happened to Parsons on the start. Did he fall asleep? Did he get caught out there?
He might be, and Brad Maris is pulled out in front of Parsons, grabs a little curb. Eiran might be suffering from tires at this point, or maybe he just had a very long first gear selected.
Perhaps. But these damp condition starts, they are tricky, Jack, I tell you. The right tire selection and that finesse on the throttle at the start, so very crucial.
So Roman has jumped out into a lead with Chris Moses on his tail. Parsons in third. Maris in fourth. Rally has jumped up to fifth. Alex White in sixth. Savoy 7. Sportelli 8. Myers 9. Werner 10. Monroy, Connie, and Marty Eiran all battling for 11, 12, and 13. Going 3 wide into that corner there. They are diving in deep there. Cole in 14th, Hamilton in 15th, Prado in 17th already. We haven't even completed one lap yet. Wathen in 17th, grabbing a little bit of grass there, dropped to 18th and now 19th. Greatrix in 20, Rolf in 21st, Sergio Calderon in 22nd, Montgomery in 23rd, McIntyre 4th, Gup Douglas in 25th, Thomas Schubeck in 26th, Carpati in 27th, getting passed by Ryan Schleif. That was a nice pass, Ryan. And Gup Douglas out in the kitty litter in 28th. Matt Taylor coming around in the Ferrari F40 in 29th. Looks like he's got a smacked up back end on that one. Back out in front, Roman taking the lead.
Yeah, and boy, just jumping back 1 second there, Jack. 9th through 11th, Raleigh, Monroy, and Savoie. Man, these guys got a NASCAR race going on there. They got some bumper rubbing going on, and they're just battling it out. It's a great battle that's going on, and these guys are holding nothing back.
I just dropped back to grab Werner. And Myers in 8th, Raleigh in 9th, and you're right, we got Monroy, Savoie, and Conti. And you're right, they are all going at it early in the race.
Absolutely. Damn conditions. Well, we'll see these guys settle in a little bit and give it another 2 or 3 laps. Hopefully they'll find their groove and try to hash it out a little bit more safely.
Well, we're going to have to keep our eye on the track and the conditions to see if this starts to dry out. We may end up watching a bunch of guys dive in for an early pit. Hopefully they can make it to their pit window, but if not, this may end up being a 2-stop race.
Quite possibly. Just looking up at the skies right now, they're still very gray, and it's early on in the race, so I wouldn't anticipate any changes anywhere before the next, maybe 10 or 15 laps, typical of our weather engine here, but we'll have to see. There's some breaks in the cloud, but it still looks pretty gray.
Well, we've got Roman in P1, Moses, but there's Mr. Parsons tracking down Chris Moses, but right behind Mr. Parsons is Brad Maris. So we've got a battle here for P2.
Absolutely, and while these guys are battling each other for that position, Roman is just checking out. He had about a 2.5 second lead last lap. He's already stretched that out to 4.3. So whatever Roman's driving, he's got the magic set up tonight to possibly take a win home.
Well, we got a long way to go. Maximum theoretical is going to be 59 laps according to our race board up here. So we got a long way to go yet.
Long way to go. And a lot of action going on. Alex fighting back in 5th. He's trying to fight his way up there. Not sure if he found the magic setup, but he's fast through the sweeper and down that front straight.
We got Parsons having a look on the inside of Chris Moses on going into turn 1, and he has made the pass very cleanly on Chris Moses.
And here comes Brad Maris in that Saline right behind Moses as well. He's going to try and make a move as well. Looks like coming up in the next couple of corners.
Yep, you're right. Brad's not holding anything back, and he was up at the top of the qualifying board as well. So these guys have got the speed, and he's going to try and pull a bit of a draft off of Chris Moses. Some great action early on here.
And Jack, this is an amazing feat that Andres Prado is pulling off here. He has moved up to P12. He's currently running P12 right behind Marco Conti. And Marco Conti is not too far off in the distance there.
You know, that guy is just having one heck of a season this year. Boy, oh boy. I
Absolutely, and I definitely like to take a page out of his instruction booklet because he does it with so much finesse, and he's just a joy to watch.
David Pohl up to P13. Greg Myers in 14th. Hamilton in 15th. Marty Eiran in 16th. Sam Rolfe running in 17th, just one out of the points. Michael Greatrix in 18. And Lou Mascarelli in 19. Lou getting hounded by Salem Montgomery. Looks like Salem's going to put the pass on Lou. And Salem looks like he's going to make it stick. And Lou trying for the old over-under.
Yeah, this is what I'm telling you, Jack. That front straightaway, you get a good pull coming off of turn 14 onto the front straight. It's a great passing opportunity. We've seen it here several times already. We're only a few laps into this race, and they figured that one out pretty quickly.
Well, back in 16th, we've got Sam Rolfe, but he's being hounded by Marty Eiran and Michael Greatrix. They got a good battle going on back here.
Yeah, these mid-packers, I tell you, they hold nothing back either. You might as well be racing for the lead with these guys because they give it their all. Their driving skill is phenomenal, and you know, it's just a joy to watch. These guys giving it their all, as if they were racing for the lead.
Absolutely, great racing all the way through. Oh, Marty gives Christian Hamilton a little bit of a bump. And Marty settles it down and lets them continue on through.
Johnny McIntyre in 20th coming down that front straightaway. Looks like he's right behind Salem Montgomery. Doesn't have him too far off in his sights.
Yeah, there is some great racing in this early going. Ryan Schleif has just put the move on Matt Taylor and got around him. Andre Cole sitting back in 24th. Lou Mascarelli back to 25th now. Thomas Schubeck in 26th and Sergio Calderon hunting down Schubeck in 27th. Jacob Carpati back in 28th. And Gup Douglas falling all the way back to P29.
Yeah, I'm wondering if something may have happened to Gup's car there. Didn't have an opportunity to see what may have happened, but we'll catch up with him a little bit later. Just looking up at the front real quick. Rich Roman had started to check out, but it looks like Aaron Parsons has had enough of that. He's gotten back by Chris Moses, and he's hunting Roman down.
Yeah, we know Chris Aaron. Once Aaron gets the settled down and gets the car hooked up, you know he's going to be pushing to close that gap up.
And we're with the laps that we've gotten in the race so far, it looks like these drivers have worn a nice semi-dry groove into the track because they're starting to pick up their pace here, Jack, somewhat.
Yeah, we got Raleigh up to 7th, Werner into 8th. Marco Conni's up to 9th. Juan Monroy in 10th, Prado, Savoie, and Poole. Greg Myers hanging on to 14th, got lots of clean track in front and behind him with Sam Rolfe up to P15th. Good on you, Sam. Hamilton in 16, McIntyre 17, Wathen 18, Greatrix 19, and Marty in 20. There's a great battles going on there. Montgomery, Schleif, and Matt Taylor battling it out as well. Lou Mascarelli is up to 24th now, gotten by Sergio Calderon. And Thomas Schubeck got lots of clean track in front and behind him. And Carpati and Gup Douglas. Now Carpati's coming under some pressure from Gupper, and it looks like Gup is going to try and press on and get by him.
And it looks like we just lost Kevin Savoie. He's in the pits with a DNF. Andres Cole in the pits with a DNF.
Oh.
Not sure what happened there. We didn't get the opportunity to see what was going on with their cars.
Carpati has just lost it, and Gup Douglas has gone by him. Yep, I heard them drop out just then. That's unfortunate. So Roman out in the front, out in the lead.
He's got about a 2.5 second, almost 3 second lead over Parsons, but Parsons is not letting up. He's closed that gap from over 6 seconds. It's now less than 3. He's hunting him down.
Yeah, 3 seconds is not a great lead when you've got somebody like Parsons chasing you down.
I'm sure it's not. And again, I'm glad it's not me.
Now, it does look like the rain is still coming down, though.
Well, conditions and forecasts do call for the wet stuff, but we've seen stranger things happen here in GTR2.
You're right on that assessment. I've seen pouring rain and hot conditions and no rain. I mean, you have no idea what we're going to get here, but it is the same for everybody out there.
And that's all in the fun of GTR2 racing. It's the element of surprise, the element of the unknown when it comes to the weather. And we have a great group of guys, drivers here that can adapt quickly and make the best out of a bad situation at times.
Well, I just got up on the chat board, Andre Cole. He must have been on soft wets. He blew up his rear tires.
Yeah, just looking over at that. Tough luck there, Andres. We're sorry. Better luck next time. But yeah, we can certainly understand those tires exploding, especially if you had soft wets on. Track temperature at 87 degrees. Them things are going to heat up, boy, like a hot frying pan with grease in it.
Well, you know, I've never had that happen to me, but I did have a race last year where my tires were 307 degrees, and they still didn't blow up, and I can't figure out why not.
Wow.
So we got a great battle for the final spot on the podium going on with Moses, Maris, White, and Sportelli. And Sportelli is all over the back of Alex White.
Yeah, look at that. They're just freight training it around this track right now.
Well, it's going to be interesting when they come off that final corner to see who is going to draft and who is going to be able to hang on to the braking zone.
Yep, absolutely. Oh, we got a car off to the left over there. One of the Ferraris, it looks like.
Moses, Maris, White, and Sportelli giving it their all. And the skies are still gray, and it still looks pretty slick out there. And Maris has a great big swoop going around that corner. I don't know how he held on to it.
Yeah, with Alex White right on his tail. Goes to the inside to cool off his tires.
Absolutely, you've got that right. They are running. Their tires must be running extremely hot. I'd hate to be looking at. This is where I'd shut that XD off. I would not want to be watching those big fiery red symbols up on my display board.
No, absolutely. That just serves as a distraction for the driver. So, but it is important to know what's going on with your car, considering that you're the crew chief, pit crew, and driver, and everything else, right?
Yes, it is, but you know, these guys are going to definitely want to make it to their pit window, so they're stuck with what they've got.
Well, I think in this case, the best thing they can do is take every opportunity they can, get a little bit out the racing line, down those straights, get into some of the wet stuff, cool off them tires as best as possible. Watching Brad Maris swing that saline around that corner, watching that rear end fishtail. That can't be helping the tire situation.
Sportelli having a look on the inside. Can he make it stick? Whoa, and he does. He pulls off a great pass on Alex White.
Boy, I tell you, Sportelli in that Ferrari, man, he's got that thing nailed down. He's comfortable in the car, and he can just haul that thing around just about any track.
Well, you know, that was good on White, too, to give him the room to make that pass. But it looks like White's coming back at him.
Yep, here's the pull down the front straightaway. See if he can make it stick down at the end. That's going to be the tricky part here.
Stuck his nose in, but pulled it back out.
It looks like he may have thought better of it there, Jack.
But, you know, these guys are so good. He knows what he's got to do next time to pull that move off. And it won't surprise me to see him do it. If he doesn't get him before, he is all over the back of him. Sporto, a little wobbly, and White as well. They are both pushing hard.
And they're giving Andrew Werner an opportunity to catch up to them. Looks like Werner's all over the tail of Mr. White here. Andrew Werner in 7th. David Raleigh moves up to 8th. Marco Conti holding steady in 9th. Juan Monroy up to 10th. David Poole in 11th. Andres Prado still holding on to 12th. Started at the back of the field. He's about halfway up to the front. Let's see what happens the remainder of this race. His tires must be heating up something awful also. He's probably been pushing it really hard to get from the back of the field up to 12th.
Yeah, and we've got Sam Rolfe sitting in 13th and Greg Myers in 14th. John Wathen in 15th, and John puts it off into the gravel. Johnny Mack in 16th, and he's going to come around and try and steal that position from Wathen. Not close enough, but that'll put him in the hunt. So Johnny Mack in the last point-paying position, but he's got Marty Eiran all over the back of him in 17th. Michael Graytrix in 18th. Matt Taylor in 19th. Christian Hamilton's dropped down to 20th. Montgomery is in 21st. Sergio Calderoni in 22nd. Thomas Schubeck in 23rd. Ryan Schleif in 24th. Gup Douglas in 25th. Jacob Carpati in 26th. And Lou Mascarelli has dropped all the way back to 27th. Back on board with your leader, Rich Roman. But you know what? That Mr. Parsons is definitely got to be closing that gap. He looks like he's closer now.
Yeah, it looks like Parsons has brought that down to about a 1.5 second gap. You know, I got to think here, Jack, that considering the track temperatures, they continue to rise, the ambient temperature rising, these tires have got to be heating up something awful for these guys, because while they were moving along the first few laps, it seems like everything is kind of just plateaued right now, and these guys are just trying to hold their positions until they get to their first pit window.
Yeah, and what do you do in the pit window? I mean, once we get into the pits, we still got rain coming down. Do you go out with what you had on? For these guys, these leaders, maybe what they've got on is the right tire selection.
Yeah, it could be. I have no doubt, however, as has happened already to Andres, is that some of these guys may have grabbed those soft wets, probably for the front to keep the traction going, but you know, that's going to wear those tires down, and it's a crapshoot with these tire changes, with these tire choices in the damp. It's really hard.
Well, things are going to get interesting here. We've got your race leader, Rich Roman, is coming up to some lap traffic, and in these conditions, it is not going to be easy if they're going to have to move offline to make the pass.
Not at all. With 13 laps in the book already, and he's coming up on lap traffic again. Let's see how these guys play together. Let's play nice in the sandbox, boys.
Yep, Schubeck lets him go by, no problem at all, and lets Mr. Parsons by as well. Good on you, Thomas.
looks like Parsons has pulled up within 0.7 seconds of Mr. Roman, so we're going to have a battle here any second now, Jack.
I'm wondering, did it sound like somebody was in the pits?
Looks like Christian Hamilton may have ducked into the pits, and he's back out again.
Probably in for a little bit of a tire change. Well, Parsons.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt it.
All over the back, Rich Roman.
Hey, he's right up his tailpipes.
And making up that time, yeah, it would appear that Eiran's got a little bit of race pace over top of Rich.
And again, I can't help but think here that the tires, the setups are starting to come into play now, as they've put 14 laps in the book. They've been going hot and heavy for 14 laps non-stop, and you know, this equipment starts wearing down pretty quickly in these types of conditions, especially those tires.
Yeah, it's got to be a handful out there right now for these guys to keep this pace up. But Rich is doing a great job at holding him off, driving his line, not leaving a lot for Eiran to take a look at.
Absolutely, and just speaking on the tire temperatures, I'm just looking over here in the chat on the live broadcast channel, and Andres Cole made the comment that his rear tires were at 160 degrees Celsius. Wow.
It's no wonder they blew up.
They just melted off the rim there. Good battle going on up front.
Absolutely.
Parsons. Looks like they're just looking to hold pace at this point.
Well, it looks like they're playing cat and mouse. They're coming up to some lap traffic, so you know, they got to go off the drive line, and that's got to be really slippery out there.
Yeah, absolutely. However, considering the conditions of the racetrack right now, getting off that drive line, getting those tires a little cooled off is the smart thing to do.
Well, that lap traffic is not doing Mr. Roman any good at all. And he finally gets by him, and Parsons as well.
One of the Ferraris there.
That might be Sergio Calderon. Well, we've got a real dogfight going for P1 here tonight. Roman a little, and Parsons on the inside. This is one guy you do not want to let out in front of you.
No, you do not want to give Eiran Parsons clean track in front of you, because he's got a penchant for just checking out on you. And, you know, just driving on board here with Roman, you can see how he pulls that McLaren F1 away in a heartbeat.
Yeah, he is, he is just literally walking away from Mr. Roman. Not quickly, but he is definitely going to walk away from him.
Oh yeah. Oh, looks like we have one of the Aston Martins that just pulled off to the side to let these two by.
So Parsons takes the lead. Roman in second. Chris Moses in third. Brad Maris in fourth. Alex White in fifth. And Sportelli in sixth. Sportelli must have had a little bit of trouble here, because he was dogging it out with Alex White, and looks like Alex White is giving himself a little bit of breathing room there. But David Rowley in the Koenigsegg now up in behind and giving Sportelli all sorts of trouble.
That he is. David Rowley making his move. Juan Monroy in eighth. Marco Conti Garcia in 9th, Andrew Werner in 10th, David Poole holding on to 11th, Andres Prado still holding on to 12th, Sam Rolfe in 13th, Greg Myers in 14th, and Johnny Mack down to 15th.
Yeah, and I'm going to stick right here. This looks like a pretty good dogfight we got going. With McIntyre and Greg Myers is taking that spot away from Sam Rolfe, and Sam Rolfe trying to hold off Johnny Mack now.
Absolutely, looks like a good battle going on there. These guys are just, they're dicing it out.
And this is what we'd like to see. Looks like Sam Rolfe on the inside of Greg Myers, but just can't get the traction down. McIntyre all over the bumper of Sam Rolfe.
Yeah, Sam Rolfe with the defensive move there, just drifting to the outside.
But did you just see that move there? Marty Eiran has passed them both like they were standing still.
And
wow.
Checking out down the straight. Wow.
That was an unbelievable move.
It was smart, to say the least, eh, Jack?
I just can't believe it. He went by them like they were just standing still. And now he's got Greg Myers in his sight. And he is looking extremely quick all of a sudden.
Late burst of speed.
Well, Marty is one of our senior drivers out here tonight, folks. I think without giving the farm away, he is probably the oldest driver here in NAGP. But, boy, this guy knows his stuff, knows car setups, and obviously knows how to put the pass on these guys.
Absolutely.
Some lap traffic in between.
And back up front, looks like Eiran Parsons extends his lead to a little over 3 seconds.
Boy, that hasn't taken him long.
Not at all. It's not surprising either.
Thanks, Andre. Andre's posted up. He knows that Rich is on softs. Oh, Marty's put it off into the kitty litter, and he's given those spots back. But he knows Rich is using softs, and he thinks that Parsons might be on inners.
Very interesting. And we have our first two in the pits. David Poole ducks into the pits. Andrew Werner ducks into the pits.
Teammates, not surprising.
Well, 18 laps completed. Looks like Werner gets out of the pits first and immediately followed by Poole. They go down one lap, but we have everybody before them that hasn't pitted yet. So it's going to be pretty interesting to see how these pit strategies come into play here, Jack.
Yeah, the sky doesn't look any better than it did. It is still raining hard out there. There's lots of spray on the track. Looks like we may end up with a wet race all the way through.
Yeah, and again, that wouldn't be surprising considering the percentage of rain in this region of China, and the fact that we did have a high chance of rain. So it looks to be proving true.
So we've got Parsons in one. Going to be interesting to see when he drops in for a pit change, but boy, he seems pretty smooth out there.
Yeah, he does. I wouldn't be surprised if I see the top 2, 3, maybe 4 drivers duck in at the same time with the leader just to maintain pace, or they may feel brave and stay out an extra lap or two.
Yeah, well, you're right. I wouldn't doubt that they're all going to try and pull in the pits in a similar time on the same lap just to keep contact. It's always nice to have that guy's tail in front of you to chase him down.
Yep, absolutely. You don't want them to get too far away. Don't want them to put your lap down, because then it's a real uphill battle from that point, especially when you got guys like Parsons, Romans, Maris, and White all up front. You know, these guys can drive the wheels off of a car, so you don't want them to get too far away from you. You want to keep them within your crosshairs.
Yeah, I don't know. As Chris Moses, he must have ducked into the pits. If not, he has dropped back to 13th, so I would imagine he must have pitted.
Yep, I'm gonna agree with you there, Jack. He had to have come in for a pit, because he was right up there in the top 5, and he's, as you say, he's down now to 13th.
Well, another interesting race. John Wathan back in 24th. He's having his trouble, and Lou Mascarelli swinging that Corvette around. Jacob Carpati. A couple of guys struggling out there tonight, but hanging in. Boy, Parsons is absolutely stretching that lead out, isn't he?
8 seconds, man. This guy is just, I don't know. He's giving us instruction on smooth and steady driving.
Well, not that Mr. Roman is going to be happy with this, but this is exactly the way it finished out last time they were here. Parsons with the win and Roman right behind him. They obviously...
That would be interesting, Jack.
Yeah, these two obviously like this track.
It is. It's a fun track to drive. Just the fact that it's so open, sweeping, and these guys, they love speed. They can really lay it down here.
Now, I've just picked up on Brad Maris and Rich Roman. And Brad Maris has just made the move. He's on the outside now, trying to hang on to that. It looks like the two of them are coming side by side into the turn. Brad Maris on the inside with the advantage. He's going to make it stick. Brad has pulled into P2.
Awesome. That's amazing. Looks like we have Sportelli ducking into the pits.
Now, this is very interesting as well, because Brad Maris and Rich Roman are tied for the Drivers' Championship in points. And there they are, swapping positions in the midpoint way of this race.
Yep, and let's not forget that we still have these pits coming up for those front runners. So that's going to probably be the pivotal point of this race in terms of pit strategy. Who gets in first, who gets out first.
Yeah, these guys have got everything dialed up so well. But I sure have my troubles with my pit crew, but maybe I'm not paying them enough.
Or you can do like I do, pay your pit crews in hamburgers.
I think they'd probably prefer that. They might even perform a little better if I did pay them in hamburgers, because they're sure not doing me any favors this year. Mayer is putting a little bit of a gap between himself and Roman, so maybe Roman is having a little bit of the tire fall off here later on.
And that wouldn't surprise me at all. Funny thing is that Merritt's just showing a great burst of speed so late in the first stint. So he's probably got the right tires on his car.
I got to think, with all the spray out there, these guys have got to be running wets. I just can't see them running inders here. It's been relentless, and it hasn't stopped. It's been raining the whole time through. Looks like we got some more guys in the pits, though.
Well, we know that Roman is on soft slicks right now, right? So he's been doing okay with soft slicks.
Yeah, I don't know how he's holding it onto the track there. That's for sure.
Well, given the damp conditions and as many cars as we have on the track, these guys will wear a nice dry groove into the track fairly quickly. And at that point, if you are on slicks, you know what? You cannot deviate from that racing line then.
Yeah, I'd be interested. You're right. I mean, geez, we're looking at 87 degrees and damp, 78. We've got no indications that we're going to. These track conditions are going to change, but it will be very interesting if it does.
Very interesting indeed.
So we got Monroy in 4th, Alex White in 5th, Rally in 6th, Marco Conti up into P7. I thought he would do well in the wet as I predicted, and a great driver, former teammate of mine, just a fabulous wet track driver, very soft on the pedal. Prado up to 8th. Now, I guess we're going to have to wait till these pit cycles cycle around and everybody gets done with them to find out, but if this holds well, he's only picked up 20 positions.
20 positions in less than half a race. Amazing.
Unbelievable. Greg Myers in 9th, Johnny McIntyre in 10th, Chris Moses in 11th, but Chris is hounding John McIntyre.
Yeah, I'd look for Chris to put the moves on Johnny Mac here any second now, as Johnny Mac goes by a back marker. But Chris looking to get back those positions that he lost when he ducked into the pits. And again, we have the front runners, and there he goes. He just passed Johnny Mac for the 10th position. And these front runners have yet to pit.
Yeah, and you're right. And Chris went by him very cleanly, and good on both of them. Chris and John playing well out there, showing a lot of respect to each other. Marty Eiran in 12th. Thomas Schubeck up to 13th. David Pohl in 14th. Sportelli dropped back to 15th. Andrew Werner in 16th. And Matt Taylor in the Ferrari F40. Matt looks like he's struggling out there tonight in 17th. Christian Hamilton all the way back to 18th. Greatrix in 19th. Calderon in 20th. Douglas in 21st. Sam Rolfe. Sam was running real well, and he's slipped all the way back to 22nd, but hang on, Sam. You got a lot of racing yet. Salem Montgomery in 23rd, and Lou Mascarelli in 24th.
Yeah, we've unfortunately lost a few drivers that have dropped off. But we still see these guys giving their all out there. As long as they can race, they're going to race.
So, who hasn't pitted yet?
Boy, I believe that your top 8 have yet to pit from Andres Prieto up.
Well, back up with your race leader, Mr. Parsons, and we'll hold on here for a second to see if we're going to get some pit action from him. Because, as you mentioned earlier, I think it's going to be a literal pit lane freight train when it happens.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, these guys have been out there for 25 laps already. They've completed 25, working on completing 26 now. They're putting a long haul in on this track.
Well, looks like Parsons is staying out for another lap.
Yeah, looks like your front runners are probably just trying to make this a one-stop race there, Jack.
Well, the longer they can hang out there, the better it is in case we get some changing conditions, because the last thing I want to do is come in, do a tire change and fuel up to find out the track conditions change and we got to dive in again. So sometimes the late pitters can get an advantage as long as they're not losing a lap time to it. But these guys are adept enough that they got their eye on their lap time, so you can see when it's starting to fall off.
Yep, absolutely. But speaking of the changing weather, we have not seen one iota of a change in the sky conditions, and the raindrops are still falling, and you're still seeing the spray coming off the back of those cars. So I don't know. It'd be something if we see a change late in the race.
Yeah, you know, and this is actually good. I mean, the conditions are somewhat stable. They've remained somewhat the same as
hard it is to make that right choice on tires in the damp, but it seems that these guys have adapted really well. Good race going on. Parsons is still out there with about a 10-second lead over Maris, and he's just making the best of his run right now.
Yeah, on board with Alex White as he comes up to some lap traffic. Getting around Thomas Schubeck, and looks like Sam Rolfe there, but he is into quite the gaggle here.
Alex White trying to get around some rack markers there. Never easy, but Alex is experienced enough. He'll get by them at the right moment, hopefully.
Yeah, and never easy on both ends of that equation either. I mean, you know, giving a guy enough room, you know, to get by without sacrificing yourself, that's not as easy as it looks out there.
Absolutely not. And what I've actually been learning in my experiences with online racing is that these front runners, you don't have to give them a wide berth. Give them a lane, and they will go right by you like hot, you know, a butter knife through hot butter. You know, you don't have to give them a huge wide berth and put yourself into the sand traps.
Nope, you're right. A lot of times, if you just hold your line, they're quick enough and talented enough that they'll go around you.
Absolutely. As we watch Alex White, he's flashing his high beams there, gets really close to that Ferrari, but finally the Ferrari pulls over, lets him by.
Yep, and another little dip saying thank you. So Rally's back in 6th, and Marco Conti up to 7.
Chris Moses not too far behind in P8. John Mack followed by John McIntyre about 5 seconds back. Marty Eiran in 10. Andres Prado 11. Looks like Gregory Myers just ducked into the pit. He's still in 12th, but here comes David Poole in 13th. Now takes over 12th. John Sportelli up to 13th. Thomas Schubeck in 15th. Andrew Werner in 16th. Hamilton in 17th. Calderon 18th. Rolfe in 19th. Douglas in 20th. Salem Montgomery is down to 21st. And Matt Taylor in 22nd. Mike Greatrix and Lou Mascarelli in the pits to put some fuel and some rubber.
Yeah, and those two are still going at it.
And here we have 5, 6, and 7 that ducks into the pits. David Raleigh, Brad Maris, and Alex White all come in for fuel and rubber as well.
Well, that lets Marco Conti temporarily get up into 4th. Well, is this... No, it looks like he's going by it again, Mr. Parsons. Having another outlap.
Yeah, he's really stretching this one. I can't help but think here, Jack, that he nailed it on the setup. He nailed it on the tire selection. He's checking out. He's not slowing down much, and I think he just nailed it.
Yeah, and you know, smooth enough watching, you know, Eiran going around. He seems to make it by these lap cars without much trouble at all.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We got Rich Roman just ducked into the pits now, still holding on to 3rd there.
Yeah, and a little bit of a parade coming down pit road. It looks like we've got Thomas Schubeck and Marco Cotti pulling in as well.
So we're starting to see your front runners come in now, and I guess they've had about all they can get on those tires, and their gas tanks are emptying out, so it's time to fill them back up, and we still got some time left to go here.
Yeah, we should be, we're going to finish this pit rotation, and then we'll be on the final stretch for the last half of the race.
Yeah, and I got to think here, Jack, that the drivers that may have felt they didn't have the right setup starting the race, maybe making some tire changes now, maybe some tire pressure changes to their setups, and we'll have to see how this plays out now after these this round of pits.
Well, Parsons is in the pits. So, we'll have to keep your eye on Rich Roman to see where he is on the track.
Roman is actually in the pits along with Parsons. Juan Monroy in seconds, about to take over first place. There he goes down the straightaway. But we're probably going to see that change as Eiran Parsons just takes off now.
So Roman is out, and he will be pushing as hard as he can to try and close that gap up before Mr. Parsons gets out back on the track.
You know, Jack, is it me or am I seeing the rain pick up here again?
It has just been relentless tonight. It is just coming down in bucket loads.
Yep, absolutely. So I wasn't seeing things. That's a good thing.
Parsons is rolling, and he is back out on the track.
Your current leader right now is Juan Monroy, but I do not believe that Monroy has pitted yet. He's got about a 45-second lead on Parsons, so if Monroy hasn't pitted, he's got to come into the pits. We may see that change yet again.
Well, we definitely will, but good on Juan. He gets to run around, and he's going to lead a lap.
We have one of the Mad Croc Racing Corvettes go off the track there. Not sure if that was White or Raleigh.
That would have been maybe Lou Mascarelli. So Parsons out currently in P2, but he should take that back over shortly. Brad Maris in behind him in P3. Moses in P4, and Roman has dropped back to P5.
You know, an interesting thing to see here is Moses pitted quite early. So is he going to be able to make it to the end of this race on just the one stop, considering the weather conditions and the fuel load that he may have loaded during his pit? Because he was an early pitter.
You're right. It is going to be interesting, and it's going to be a heartbreaker if he runs out of fuel. So Chris currently in P4, Brad Maris in P3, Eiran Parsons in P2, and Juan Monroy gets to hang on to that P1 for another lap.
That's got to be a feel-good there, Jack.
It sure would be going by that, watching that pit board come out and say you're in P1.
Absolutely, and then you got a 43-second lead on P2. He's got to be thinking, how can I stretch this out far enough that I can get into the pits and still out in first place? Highly unlikely, but I'm pretty sure that thought's got to be running through Monroy's mind.
Well, that being said, you know, he might pick up a few spots, you know, with this move he's got going on right now. If he's got a 43-second lead on P1, he may end up coming out in pretty good shape.
Yeah, he just might. Putting on 4 tires load of fuel, and he's been out there for a long time. So I guess he's just trying to stretch it out. He probably loaded himself up in the beginning of this race with that very strategy in mind. Make the most of the first stint. Let everybody else pit. I'll pit much later and hopefully come out in a better position.
Back in P5 with Rich Roman as he's making his way through some slower traffic.
Yep, and just ahead of Roman, you got Moses about 3 seconds back marker between the two, coming down that front straight.
So Rich is going to want to press to get on by Chris Moses, and as you mentioned earlier, if Chris can't make it to the end, that's going to be a bitter pill to swallow.
And boy, oh boy, we got Andrew Werner back in the pits again so soon after his first pit. Not sure what happened there.
He must have picked up a little bit of damage there. And we've got Juan Monroy in the pits.
Boy, this is going to be interesting to see how fast he can get out of there. Lead is about down to 28 seconds right now as Eiran Parsons is making his way through the field, coming around the circuit. He's really pouring it on.
Well, I'm watching Monroy here, and he's still taking fuel. And if he's going to take a tire change, he is going to drop positions like a rock.
Yep, absolutely. Here comes Eiran Parsons past the start-finish line. He jumps back up into first.
And Juan is taking tires, so he is definitely going to be losing spots. So that puts Brad Maris in P2. Parsons in P1. And Maris can just barely see the spray coming off of Parsons, so they've got a bit of a gap there. And looks like a fair distance back to P3. But Roman is making his way up onto the back end of Chris Moses. Got a little bit of a, still got one of the slower traffic cars in between him and Moses, but that might even play into his hands as he goes down the main straightaway.
Jack, if it's okay with you, I'd like to take 60 seconds.
Absolutely. So we've got Roman in fourth, hunting down Chris Moses. Alex White in fifth. Juan Monroy, he came out in P6th. Got great position there in behind Alex White. David Rowley in P7. Prado up to P8, as mentioned earlier, 20 spots. John Sportelli chasing down Andre Prado as well. Marco Conti into P10. David Pohl in 11. Christian Hamilton in 12th. Greg Myers in 13th. Marty Uren in 14th. Johnny McIntyre in 15th. And Thomas Schubeck. Great on you, Thomas. You're in the points at 16. It is always nice to see some of our newer drivers make it up into the points. There's nothing more thrilling than grabbing some points in this highly competitive league. Sam Rolfe in P17. Salem Montgomery and Sam. Now these guys have been going at it for quite a while. Let's hang on here as Salem Montgomery and Sam Rolfe go bumper to bumper. Salem having a look on the inside. Down the main straight, Salem Montgomery on the inside. Oh, and we have got a three-way battle there. Salem gets bumped back to 17th. Sam Rolfe, Salem Montgomery. Oh, geez. So Sam Rolfe gets pushed onto the outside and loops the car. Well, unfortunate for Sam. Sergio Calderon in 19, Werner in 20, Matt Taylor in 21st, Gup Douglas in 22nd, Great Tricks in 23rd, Lou Mascarelli in 24th. And there's your race leader, Eiran Parsons. and Brad Maris in P2. Just going to jump over the leaderboard, take a look at the gaps. 8 seconds.
Oh, and Jack.
Yo.
Sorry about that. It looks like we lost Sam Rolfe with a DNF. He is in the garage.
First end of that one got spun into the wall and probably picked up a lost tire or some flat tire action and decided that was enough for tonight.
Oh, that's a shame. Absolute shame.
It is. They were having a good battle there, but it is definitely still slippery out there. It really hasn't changed out there at all tonight. So we got Parsons, a 10-second lead over Maris, and Maris has got about a 10-second lead over Moses, but Rich Roman is closing the gap up.
Yep, looks like he's pulling up right on the tail of Chris Moses. Going to try and take that third spot away from him. And we know that Chris Moses just doesn't give positions away easily.
No, two very competitive guys, but you know what? There's two guys who would want nothing more than going nose to tail at it to finish off the race. But it looks like we had Johnny McIntyre put the pass on Rich Roman, so Johnny Mac looks like he's found some late speed in that car of his.
Douglas, Lou Mascarelli ducked down into the pits. Gives Mike Greatrix the P22 down at the back of the pack. Matt Taylor up to 20th and Andrew Werner at 19th.
Yeah, and like I mentioned earlier, Thomas Schubeck, one of our newer drivers here at NAGP, is hanging on to the final paying position tonight at P16th. Gets a little wide there and picking up a little bit of grass, but good on you. Hang on to that spot if you can, Thomas.
That's it. He gets one of those Ferraris roaring by him.
Yeah, and down here at P18 with Andrew Werner, he looks like he's had his trouble tonight, sitting down at P18, and he's had a better earlier race than that. And who have we got coming into the pits? Is that Prado or Maris?
That is Prado. He ducked down into the pits.
Well, he may end now. Why are these guys pitting so early? This is, I wouldn't have expected that. This has got to be their...
No, not at all.
Got to be their second pit stop.
I'm assuming so. Considering that your front runners pitted so late, I'm not understanding the strategy with the second pit stop here. But guess we'll find out after the race.
Well, it sure doesn't look like it is drying up out there. I mean, it looks like these guys have got grip when they stay in the groove, but we're sure still seeing a lot of spray coming off these cars and a lot of rain coming down.
Can't help but think that soft slicks may have been the way to go for this entire race. Eiran Parsons putting on the soft slicks, and he's checked out. He's increased his gap now to 11.7 seconds over Brad Maris, and he's just putting on a clinic tonight.
And Juan Monroy is done real well. He's down in P5 now, so his late pit strategy looks like it might have paid off, and he got to hang on to the couple of lead laps there, which has got to be nice. A very satisfying race for Juan.
Absolutely. Very respectable position right now. We still have race time left, so things can change, but good on Juan Monroy for keeping it steady and having a good strategy.
And we got David Rowley into the pits right now as well.
Yep, David Rowley ducking into the pits, giving David Poole a chance to move up a position.
Alex White in the pits and Marco Conti back in the pits too. You know, they might have come out on maybe inters thinking it was going to dry up, and maybe it didn't. Maybe they've, who knows? We are going to have to find out after the race and who made the right choices and who didn't. Alex White dropping down to P10 now.
Well, here's a very interesting little detail there, Jack. Just looking at the weather and the track conditions, whereas we were visibly seeing the dry groove forming on the track, those reflections are back all over the track now, so I can't help but think that the rain is coming down heavier again here.
Yeah, it sure appears that way on the camera as well, that the rain sure seems to be dropping down, and these guys are sliding those cars around pretty much right now.
Yep, so we went from bad to okay to really bad.
Yeah, and we've got, I'm on board with Marty Eiran and Andre Prado, and they're battling it out side by side. Not quite the conditions I would want to be in doing side-by-side racing around this track right now. But it looks like Prado has regained the position again.
Yeah, Prado up to 11. Alex White holding on to 10.
Yeah, I think you hit it bang on. It is worse now than it has been all night long. That rain is just pounding down. You're right, the reflection on the track is all over. The groove is getting washed away, and there's going to be no good race line left.
Nope, and you've got drivers that are just dive bombing into the pits. Here goes Eiran Parsons into the pits. David Poole, Christian Hamilton.
Parsons in. Wow.
The conditions are quickly deteriorating, and here we got a wet track, and now our forecast is calling for flooded conditions. This is GTR2 racing, folks.
Yep, we've finally got the deluge coming down, and you know what? Probably Andre was right. He thought that Parsons was out on inters earlier, and they probably are not holding up in these flooded conditions. He is rolling down pit lane now, and looks like he might hang on to that P1.
Yep, Juan Monroy still has ducked into the pits considering the deteriorating conditions. Pulls up right behind Parsons. This is going to be interesting.
Well, Monroy is now grabbed the P2.
And this is what I'm thinking. Did he come in that late and put on wets?
If he did, this would be a brilliant move on Juan's part. A great strategy. If he can hang on to this, if he can run to the end, he's in great position right now.
We'll have to see. He's holding on to that second position pretty tightly. Maris is about 7 seconds back. Trying to make up some ground on Monroy. Sportelli in 4th. Chris Moses moves all the way up to 5th spot. Rich Roman in 6th. Dave Raleigh in 7th. Alex White in 8th. Andres Prado in 9th. And Marty Eiran rounds out your top 10.
Very, very interesting change of events here. And this track just looks like a handful right now for these drivers. Ken, it's every car I look at is sliding around on the corners.
And I can see myself in the road.
Yeah, absolutely. Marco Conni's dropped down to 11th or 12th. David Poole in 13th and Myers in 14th. And Myers is running with his teammate. So Greg Myers is in behind Eiran Parsons. Great blocking position.
And Monroy ducks into the pits. I guess he didn't have those wets on after all. Looks like he just came in for a splash of fuel. He's right back out there again.
Well, he has dropped down to P5 with that move. Moses up into P4.
Or could he have gotten a penalty for speeding in the pits? Not sure.
Quite possibly. You got 3 laps to do that, and no, maybe not. You've only got 3 laps to get in for your pit lane violation.
Ah, that's right. We lost Andrew Werner to a DNF.
Well, we may lose a few more. These cars are sliding all over the place. It looks like a real handful. Brad Maris up to P2. Parsons hanging on to the P1, and teammate Greg Myers is hanging on to his tailpipe, so Greg may be just happy to ride along behind Eiran. And John Sportelli up to the P3.
Well, I got to tell you, you know, the last few weeks I've been watching Sportelli drive that Ferrari around. He's got a good love affair going on with that car because he drives it really, really well. He's very fast in that Ferrari.
Well, a pair of Italians are bound to perform, aren't they?
Absolutely, Jack. Absolutely. Chris Moses moving it up into 4th.
Yeah, Chris seems to be able to drive that thing around, but he was up as high as 3rd position there for a while, but still a good finish for Chris. He's had his hands full this year with a bunch of misfortunes. Juan Monroy back in the pits again.
Oh, that's interesting.
Juan is now dropped down to P7. Well, how about it? The wonder from down under. It doesn't surprise me. I mean, this guy is the consummate driver here, both in GT1 and GT2. And we could probably give him a shopping cart and he'd still run it around to the podium.
I have no doubt about that.
So, Parsons in 1st, Maris in 2nd, Sportelli in 3rd, Moses in 4th, Rally in 5th, Alex White in 6th, Marty Eiran has made it all the way up to P7, Prado into P8, Johnny McIntyre into P9. Boy, Johnny Mac's had a good race tonight. And Juan Monroy in P10. And that's got to be 3 stops for Monroy, and he's still hanging on to P10. Mark O'Connie in P11. And David Poole all over the back. Mark O'Connie. Let's jump on board with David Poole.
And as you're on board with David Poole, I'll just continue down the running order. Gregory Myers in 13, Rich Foreman in 14. Thomas Schubeck makes it up to 15. Christian Hamilton holding on to 16. Salem Montgomery in 17. Matt Taylor 18. In 19 is Mike Greatrix. Sergio Calderon in 20th. And Lou Mascarelli rounds out your last running car in 21.
Well, we have lost 7 or 8 drivers, but in these conditions, it's not all that surprising.
No, definitely not. This has been one heck of a race. You know, I've seen where we've gone from wet to dry and back to wet, but I gotta say, this is the first time that I've seen us go from damp to flooded, because our track conditions have now changed to flooded. Track temperatures, however, are still up there.
Well, it doesn't appear that there is much of a groove out there to drive in. This flooded condition, it looks completely flooded.
Absolutely. Get some pontoons for these cars, Jack.
Well, David Poole tried to put the pass on Mark O'Connie, and Mark O'Connie said, go right ahead, and Poole spun it, and Marco is away in the Lambo.
Absolutely capitalized on that bobble there by Mr. Poole.
And back up in 10, we got Juan Monroy and Johnny McIntyre going at it. What lap are we on now, Ken?
So we've completed 43 of a scheduled 59, but given the amount of pit stops that these guys have taken so far, it doesn't look like 59 is going to be the magic number tonight.
No, we're probably going to end this race on time instead of distance. And we got to be getting up close.
Yep, absolutely. We've got 43 in the books, and they're working on 44. Boy, Sportelli pulling up on the back of Brad Maris there for that second spot. And Maris starts pulling away really quick.
And is that Chris Moses coming on the back of Sportelli? And Chris Moses has gone around Sportelli.
And he sets his sights on Brad Maris. Looks like Chris Moses got that Mustang, that Ford GT running really well right now.
Yeah, and it does appear that John is struggling out there with some grip, John Sportelli in the Ferrari, because Moses has put quite the gap on him already.
Yep, absolutely. And you know what? These heavy cars, they tend to work just a tad bit better in the rain. They just hunker down and grab the road in all types of conditions.
Yeah, and this would be one time when, and there goes Chris Moses. Wow, what a pass he has made. Chris Moses passed Brad Maris, and holy jumping, that was one beautiful pass by Chris Moses. I can't believe it.
He just blew right past him. That was incredible. I wouldn't be surprised that he's got his sights on Parsons right now. He seems to have picked up his pace here a couple. The gap is dropping by tenths of a second per corner right now, so this is going to be interesting.
It's just unbelievable how, I mean, Chris has just picked up 2 spots in 1 lap. Went by Sportelli and went by Brad Maris. Like those 2 guys were standing still, and Chris is really motoring right now.
Yep, don't know what got into him, but he's pushing it hard right now. He's like I said, he's closing that gap on Parsons.
Well, you can be assured that. Oh, and is that it? No, we're still running. That Eiran has got his eyes up on that gap and keeping an eye on it.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Still got some time, but yeah, Moses is just motoring on by everybody.
Yeah, I just picked that. Well, this is exactly what Chris needed. He had a couple of unfortunate incidents earlier this year. Whoa, gets a little loose there, but he is a loose driver.
Absolutely. But he's got that car well under control. Good on Chris Moses.
And Mr. Parsons, he is just motoring along with a 14-second lead over Chris Moses.
John Sportelli holding on to 4th, and David Rowley about 18 seconds back in 5th. Alex White 6th. Juan Monroy in 7th. Marty Euron in 8th. Johnny Mack in 9th. Andres Prado down to 10th from 8th. Marco Conti in 11th. David Poole in 12th. Gregory Myers in 13th. Roman in 14th. Schubeck in 15th. Hamilton holds on to 16th. And Montgomery still holding on to 17th. Taylor in 18th. Raytrix 19th. Calderon 20. And Mascarelli rounding out your 21st position there.
Well, good on Schubeck. I think that's great for him. Grab a point or 2. It's going to be a real boost for him.
Absolutely. He seems to have figured out that Pano's car. I believe that's what he's driving here in the rain.
Yeah, and I love the look of that car, too. I've seen he struggled a little bit with it, but now that he's getting a sniff at the points, and if he can keep it on track here in these conditions, that's a good drive for Mr. Schubeck.
Good on Schubeck. So Chris Moses takes and diminishes that lead down to about 12 seconds. Not sure it's going to be enough to catch Parsons with the time that we've got left, but just have to see how much he can actually close that gap.
No, and I think Chris is just thinking if he can just keep pushing a little bit and give himself some breathing room between Brad Maris, just a little bit more comfort zone to take that P2 spot.
Yeah, a bit of a cushion where he can just motor around the track, hold on to P2, get the all-important points, and as you said, he's suffered some setbacks this season, but good run for Chris Moses, get some very valuable points here tonight.
Yeah, and Dave Rowley up to P5. That's a good finish for Dave. Alex White in 6th and Monroy in 7th. Marty Eiran in 8th. And Johnny McIntyre. A good run for Johnny Mac in 9th as well. Andre Prado in 10th with Marco Conti. Andre Prado, a little bit of a bobble, and Conti is going to take that spot away from him.
Yep, Conti right there behind him to capitalize on him going wide, and puts Prado down a position,
and
still within the point.
Yeah, and a great battle going on there. We've got Prado and Poole and Myers. Looks like Conti is trying to get away from this trio here that is battling hard late in the game.
Greg Myers all over Poole's tail as they pull up on Prado, and it looks like Poole gets by Prado here.
Yep, Prado might have the advantage on the inside on this corner, but Poole's going to hang on, and Greg Myers has taken advantage of that and got around Prado, and now all over the back end of David Poole.
Yeah, even in the wet, it doesn't diminish the fact that you can get some pull down this front straightaway. He's going to take a peek on the inside. Don't think that he's got enough to do it, though. Let's see.
Wow.
Side by side through turn 1.
Great action going through here. And boy, oh boy, Greg took all the grass he could on that, but it still didn't help him out.
Yeah, he put that whole car off the track there. Poole just holding on there as best he can.
Hey, driving his line going to make it very, very difficult for Myers to get around. And with that lap traffic they're going through, it makes it very interesting. And Marco Conti not too far up in front. Marco.
It looks like Marco Conti.
Oh, it looks like David Poole is. David Poole has looped it and is in the middle of the track and had to pull it off. He has slipped down to 13th. And good on David Poole. He locked that car down to stay out of everybody's way. Now he's back on the track, and it looks like Chris Moses is going to motor on by him. But good on David to lock it down. Boy, we got we got a whole gaggle of cars up here. That looks like Mr. Parsons up in front as well.
Interesting to see Prado duck into the pits already, so late.
Oh boy. You know, tire selection is got to be driving these guys insane tonight.
You know, it reminds me of Alain Prost 1 year at Donington. I believe he set the world record for tire changes, 7 tire changes in a race.
Well, I wouldn't doubt we've had some of these guys 3 or 4 times in. Hey, Ian Jolliker joins us in the broadcast. Way to go, boy. We've got a great race going on here tonight, Ian. But it is wet, wet, wet out there. We've got Parsons in first, Moses in second, Sportelli in third, and Sportelli has gotten by Brad Maris. So Sportelli is now up into third, Brad Maris into fourth. Bit of a development there. We missed that, so sorry, folks, we missed that action. Roy in seventh, Marty Eiran in eighth, Johnny McIntyre in ninth, and McIntyre has got a rear view mirror full of Marco Conti and Greg Myers. So a great battle going on back here, and these guys have been going at it for many laps now.
Yeah, Marco Conti trying to hold on to P10, and it looks like he just lost it to Myers as Myers takes the inside line and makes it stick.
And Conti on the inside, sticking his nose in, but very carefully though.
Boy, and he's got Roman right behind him as well.
Yep, you're right. Just picked up on Rich Roman there, who was sniffing that P11 away from Marco, and it looked for a while there that Marco had that position fairly secure, but Greg Myers is pulling out some late race speed as well.
He most certainly is, getting it up to P9, and still got a ways to go before Marty Eiran, and I think the race will be done before they actually get there. But boy, look how that spray is just kicking up, and these this track is just very wet out there.
Yep, Marco up into 10th, but it looks like Marty is all over the back of him.
Boy, Rich Roman there, he's flashing his high beams at Marco, I guess hoping to get a courtesy pass, and I don't think Marco wants to give up that position.
No way, no courtesy when we're racing here. Marco saying, you want by me, you drive by me. And I don't blame him. I wouldn't either.
And neither would I.
So we got Conti in 10th, Roman in 11th, Johnny McIntyre in 12th, and a great dogfight going on there. Pooler slipped down to 13th after his little bobble.
Roman just all over the back of Conti, flashing his high beams, taking a peek inside and outside. Just doesn't look like he has enough to make it stick just yet. And you know what? Marco Conti taking that defensive position out on the track, it's not letting him by.
And Greg Myers has slipped off back to 11th. So Greg had a bit of an off there. That let Marco up into P9. So it's Marco Conti and Rich Roman.
Great battle going on here late in the race, Jack.
Oh, it's great to see. Great to see. And boy, oh boy, is Roman up in tight behind him.
And we have a little bit of a development up front. Chris Moses has closed the gap to 3 seconds to Eiran Parsons.
Well, this could be a very, very interesting finish.
Very interesting indeed, I tell you, man. This wet weather, it just changes things around. It makes the certain most uncertain.
Yeah, you know, and Chris has got a bunch of lap traffic in between him and Parsons, but Parsons has got lap traffic as well. So this is going to be a really, really interesting finish. And Eiran coming up to all sorts of lap traffic. Chris has got 3 cars in between him and Parsons. And Parsons has got his teammate Greg Myers in front of him, so he is going to hope that Greg is going to let him through lickety-split.
just on fire here late in the race.
And slipping and sliding doesn't seem to affect him at all. Chris got a nice little courtesy pass there.
Yeah, those back markers did slow him down some a little bit though, because from 3 seconds, Parsons is now pulled out to 4.2, 4.3 or so. So those back markers did play a role in slowing Chris down a bit there.
Well, hey, coming up, he has got Greg Myers, Marco Conti, and it looks like Roman has gotten by Marco Conti. Yep, Rich Roman is out in front of. Yeah.
And Conti not letting them get too far away.
Nope, in behind him is Greg Myers, and then our race leader coming up on this pack. And this may be just all Chris needs to close the gap up.
They are all on that same straightaway right now.
Yeah, and Parsons is going to be closing up on these guys.
Coming up on his teammate here now. Pretty sure that he'll get a pass there. And boy, I got to tell you, Jack, it's really hard when you're battling for position late in the race and you got the leader coming up on you. Just, how do you handle that? You got the leader who's trying to maintain his pace, and you got these guys that are actually battling for position. Do you let the leader by and risk losing your competitive edge?
Hey, it's a great observation, and it's always a conundrum, and it always infuriates me when I move over to let a leader through and have the fella I'm racing with tag along with that courtesy pass you've given and take the spot. But you don't really have much choice.
Well, it's debatable. I've heard stories about that. I think that the consensus.
And it looks like, did Greg Myers, did he slide off he must have. Greg has slipped off the track.
Yeah, I just saw somebody. Looks like that the other McLaren just went off the track there. Not sure if that's so, but it looks like that's what the case is.
Yep, and did Greg move over to try and give Eiran some room and get out of the groove and slip it off the track? And he will not be a happy camper for that one, but he's got to let his teammate through, because right behind him is going to be Chris Moses.
Yep, Chris Moses closing that gap again. I believe that Chris Moses has a little bit of a clear track in front of him. Coming up on a back marker, but hopefully that back marker won't hold him up too much.
Chris hangs on to the inside line and gets around him. So now Chris has just got to get around, I believe, Marco Conti. And he'll have. And we're done.
And there's the
we're
checkered
done.
flag.
So we've got Parsons in first, Moses in second, Brad Maris in third, Sportelli coming around to grab fourth, Alex White in fifth, Raleigh in sixth, Monroy in seventh. Not enough time there. Marco Conti in 10th, Johnny Mack in 11th, Greg Myers in 12th, Poole in 13th, Prado in 14th, Thomas Schubeck picks up a couple of points in 15th, and Christian Hamilton in 16th. Salem Montgomery in 17, Matt Taylor in 18, Greatrix in 19, Sergio Calderoni in 20 with a beat-up car, and Lou Mascarelli in 20th. Well, what do you think?
Well, I'm over here watching the the end race antics of most of our drivers. They just love to come down the front straightaway and blast their cars into the tire barriers. Just getting a load of Salem Montgomery over here. Overall, Jack, a wonderful race. Weather certainly played a huge part in this almost circus-like race with these guys ducking in and out of the pits. And boy, I got to tell you, it must have played havoc with their strategies tonight.
Yeah, some of the guys just made too many pit stops to be competitive. Others, like Mr. Parsons, what a great race he put on. And again, with Moses and Andre Prado making a great move, he picked up almost 20 spots in this race. So another great race, another one in the books, NAGP GT1. Well, I'm Jack Ivey, and I'm along with
Ken Rodriguez, and we want to thank all of our viewers for watching tonight. Don't forget that you should be able to grab the rebroadcast of this later on once it's posted on the website. And if you haven't thrown your hat in the ring with us yet, we welcome all newcomers to come and try us out.
Great, Ken. Well, I guess we will back at you. Remember, GT2 races on Monday night and GT1s on Thursday. Come and join us. Well, Ken, another great race, and we will see you next week.
Have a good night, everyone. Thank you, Jack.
Night, folks.